Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In the next 10 minutes, I'll be giving you all the info you need for Gallagher. I'll be talking about his best relic, Lightcones, team comp, rotations, pros and cons, and if you should build him, you can sit back and relax. Please leave a like and subscribe, it helps a ton. Here are his required materials and skill priority. For an overview of his kit, he has the fire element and comes from the path of abundance. Gallagher is a 2-in-1 unit. His archetype is like a mix of Huo and Luocha plus Silverwolf, where he not only heals but applies debuffs and also does some pretty decent damage from weakness break. You only have to max out his talent and the rest are fine with lower levels, especially his ulti. For his Eidolons, E1 when Gallagher enters the battle, regenerates X energy and increases effect res by X%, which is pretty broken where Gallagher can hit 100% effect res easily to never get CC. E2 when using the skill, removes X debuffs from a target ally. At the same time, increases their effect res by X%, lasting for X turns. His E2 is a better version of Natasha's. E4 extends the duration of his ultimate state inflicted by Gallagher's ulti by X turn. E5 talent heals an extra 168 HP. E6 increases both X% break effect and weakness break efficiency. For his best price to performance ratio, E1, E2 and E5 is his best output. His E6 is not needed but nice to have, he becomes easier to build for min-maxing. Overall Gallagher has one of the best 4-star Eidolons in the game. How to build Gallagher. For the body, you want outgoing healing boost, and for the boots, you want speed only. Now for the substat priority. You only want to hit the speed breakpoints I listed. After that, focus on a total of 150% break effect and lastly 20% effect res for a total of 100% effect res with his E1. You don't need any other stats as HP % does not increase his healing output at all, but some defensive stat is fine. This is what his ideal stats should be like. His best is 156 or 160 speed with 90% to 150% break effect. Honestly, 90% total break effect is enough to keep your team healthy, and 20% effect res at the lowest priority where his ulti uptime is almost at a 100% uptime, which means way more consistent heals for allies. From his talent, for those who can't hit hyperspeed, it's fine to have lower speed breakpoints like 147 speed and more break effect for higher healing output. It's not a must to hit 160 speed. Like damn, there are way too many units that need 160 speed ever since Penacony got released. Hoyoverse, if you're watching this, please release another Relic Set bonus which increases speed. Overall, just build whatever you can and don't force it, as even 156 or 160 speed is just way too much of a hassle. Onto his Relic Set. You can run any 2+2 set with 2-piece messenger for the 5.8 speed bonus. Break effect sets for 16% or 32% break effect. I would even go for rainbow sets as long as you have good substats. For Wandering Cloud, it's not worth farming at all unless you already have good substats, then it's okay to slap on as it's still 2% more healing boost compared to a 16% break effect for Gallagher, and there is way more potential with Wandering Cloud if you have 150% break effect. Players should slap on the one with the best substats. And now for the Planar ornament. Main stat, go for Energy Regen Rope. Yes, Gallagher will get his ultimate uptime as you never want to use Gallagher's skill. You may run break effect, but it's not needed at all since with 90% break effect and an outgoing healing body, he already gets 79.5% healing boost. Only reason I would see running break effect main stat is because you're more towards break effect Gallagher with Ruan Mei. And for the orb, any main stat is fine, but you want the best sub stats, but defensive main stat is preferred. Gallagher has 2 planar ornament sets that he can use. You want to run either Fleet of the Ageless or Broken Keel. Both are easy to build on Gallagher as he will have high speed, and for Broken Keel he already hits the base requirement with the 2-piece bonus effect res. Overall, either sets have little to no difference where it's more towards which can benefit your DPS. Players should just slap on whichever relic set is more universal for their account. Now for his Lightcones. Players have to be careful to not get baited. For example, post-op conversation. With an energy regen rope in most case scenario, you can already hit his ultimate uptime. Especially with hyperspeed Gallagher before the enemy boss takes 2 turns. Though with low speed it may be usable at S5 but still relies on RNG, still one of the worst options as I don't see a point with this LC at all. Also with the free S5 event Lightcone, it isn't that good as Gallagher may not even use his skill at all after 3 turns. where the outgoing healing boost will be put to waste, especially when Gallagher takes 2 to 3 turns in one cycle. Any other Lightcone I didn't list, which means they're either just bad or we have way better options. At first place. You may be wondering what first place already? Bruv, you must be playing with me when you only just started, but yes. And fear not that these two are insanely good. Shockingly, it's both S5 perfect timing and what is real. For perfect timing we are getting a free 32% effect res with his E1. You will be above 100% effect res, where players have more flexibility with relic substats. Since we don't need any effect res anymore, and it's a free 27% outgoing healing boost at a 100% uptime, which equals to 54% break effect on Gallagher. For his healing output, and with this Lightcone at 150% break effect on Gallagher, it will easily beat his other 4-star LC option, and he will be more SP positive due to higher heals. For what is real, it gives 48% break effect, and synergies almost as well as perfect timing due to the 800 HP restore plus the 4% max HP bonus. Where Gallagher never has to care about healing himself, as he will be using his basic attack most of the times, plus the break effect will make Gallagher deal more break effect damage. Overall, his Lightcone is especially good for players who don't have much break effect on Gallagher. Honestly, both are neck and neck to each other. I prefer perfect timing at S5 if you have 150% break effect on Gallagher for a total of 136.56% outgoing healing boost. Which is better to keep your whole team alive, especially with his E5 max level talent trace, compared to 109% outgoing healing boost with Gallagher LC, which provides at least 200 more healing for all allies, compared to what is real, where the HP bonus is only towards Gallagher himself. Overall, it still comes down to the player's preference, as both Lightcones are very tight, where one may be slightly better in one scenario. And now for his team comp, rotations, and how his ability works. For his rotations, Gallagher is a unique unit where you rarely use his skill for healing other than to dispel debuffs. You only want a basic attack. His ulti debuff for talent effect heals your team is based on the enemy's turns, hence running the energy regen rope, and with him taking more turns he gets faster in his ulti uptime. For his team comp, nothing to talk about, as you want a sustain unit for every team. He mainly benefit units which require debuffs on enemies like Dr. Ratio or Acheron, for example. Or even units which are running 4-piece Dead Waters. But a very important note, you always want all your units to deal damage constantly. You do not want to run him with units that never attack enemies, for example Sparkle and pretty much only her. As Gallagher archetype is similar to Huo, but instead of taking turns it's attacking enemies. For 150 plus speed Bronya with one basic attack into skill rotation, it will be doable. For Gallagher, pros and cons. Pros: high S tier, universal, F2P friendly, 3-in-1 unit, healer plus debuffer plus DPS breaker. Best 4-star sustain now, even over Lynx and Bailu. SP generator, which is as good as Luocha. Easy to build. E2 has cleanse. E5 has way higher healing output. His sustain is almost on par with Huo or Luocha. Cons: needs high speed to pop off with survivability. Gallagher debuffs barely does anything to benefit your team. Can't be compared to 5-star limited sustain still. But can't complain about it, as is a 4-star unit. So should you build Gallagher? If you have not built 2 sustain units already? Yes. If you have 2 sustain units? No. If you like his design? Yes. For his ranking for healing output at E0, 8 out of 10. E5, 8.5 out of 10. Team support, 3 out of 10. Overall, I would give him a 7.8 out of 10. After all, a sustain main job is to make sure your team stay alive. He's honestly a godsend for players who don't have any limited 5-star sustain, as his survivability is close to limited 5 stars. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And that's it for this guide.